We're back here with Mom on The Office, and it's
I'm complaining about having told the
that
story of
we're
this fighter
totally
without
sober.
a joint in
Well,
my
actually,
hand.
that's actually not bad because a lot of people can say you're just a bunch of stony weirdos, and you can't keep it
Well,
straight when
maybe
you're
we
not.
are
So we
sober.
haven't smoked. I haven't smoked anything. She hasn't smoked anything. We're just
Oh, yes, I smoke. I wake up smoking. And I
but yeah, it was hours ago. So the point here is that you mentioned ants in the previous story, the snake story, and I had an episode as a child with ants and with you, and it was a very miraculous event.
The hormigas arrieras.
Yeah,
story.
and I just want folks to know that.
That story, I have other witnesses like Monica Gessler and Emilia Melendez and a bunch of other hippies whom I can't recall real well, but were witnesses and partners and accomplices of this cosmic crime that we committed against hormigas arrieras in order to obey instructions of this old personage that we mentioned with Rosa Belendez, the person who's going to help me do these capsules in order. And the instruction was to find hormigas arrieras, the trail of the hormigas arrieras, and then to start getting the fattest, most dangerous looking ones into bottles of alcohol for them to drop the formic acid in a natural way into the alcohol, and that way fixate on you something that this formic acid was going to help you with. We had done every other instruction given to us and found in books, like the rolling of you in the hot sands, rolling you in the hot sands until you were red like a camarón, and then putting you inside of the cold water to start moving and to start.
How old was I at this time?
That was when we were in Cipolite. We were very young. I don't recall the age. It was.
What was I?
72 maybe.
72, 68, somewhere about 5, 6 years?
Something
4-year-old?
like that.
4 or 5 years?
I can't go to my page because it doesn't obey me. Yeah.
No, they're not calling you, they're just putting messages on your board, on your wall.
Bueno, anyway.
So you have the instruction to gather up all these ants and put them in alcohol and then rub them on my legs, I guess. That's the homework, right?
Point is, me encanta, dice, it's his mom, he loves it, of course he would.
Who is?
I knew.
What? God, interviewing you in front of the computer may not have been the most intelligent thing to do.
I was doing a think matter. Here, think is my Silvia ghost, which is a very important ghost in my heart.
Okay.
Silvia Fink is Cipolita's connection.
Yeah.
If you recall, Silvia Fink was the boobs that you used to watch as when you were that kid trying to walk, and Silvia Fink was the one who helped me and tortured you in your manner you like so much to be tortured, these sadomasochistic games that you love to play in love. And you were in love with her, and she was then later on Kino's wife and the mother of Joaquín and Areta Fink. En realidad ellos dos son Fink, ellos son, Joaquín is, I can't recall what Joaquín is, but Kino the sax player.
I know Kino.
Anyway, Joaquín should have his daddy's name after himself. I'm sure.
But back to the ants.
Joaquín Fink. Anyway, Kino and maybe Silvia, not Kino, but maybe Silvia was a witness to the ant story too, as well as Monica Kessler and Emilia. And the story goes like this. There was this Arturo who felt he was the king of the lords and he was very much into Christ. And since I had this sancocho in my mind that my aunt had given me Brahminic initiation in a Shivaitic way with Pranananda, a very heavy Swami that came from India and whom she was giving all her treasures and her possessions and whom she was learning Hatha with. And where I met Ramon Estrada, RK de los Hare Krishnas. We always say Ramon Estrada, BB Gadget, and Prabhupada Nagua's house, no? Why? Because in the end, it is all part of Krishna's perfect plan. Even the ants we found, even the fact that we find yesterday the doctor that gave me the connection to the doctor who gave me the instruction about the ants, and who's telling me that we'll be professionally supporting these capsules, which are supposed to be very short, by the way, and are getting very long. Anyway, back to the ants. Aha! Arturo comes and says, I have the magic with me, and brings a bunch of pills like methamphetaminas and stuff that I didn't care about at all. And I say, well, I've got my magic with me, and my magic is I'm smoking all this grass, which is very pure grass that the soldiers brought for me.
Okay.
And and whoever wants to join me can share, because it's a lot of grass for me alone. And you guys can have anything you want to have, but I know tonight we're finding the ants. So I hear this screaming of, I don't remember very well if it was Monica or some other hippie, with blonde hair rising in the middle of this night. And at the same time, there is a plankton effect on the beach where we're doing the ceremony with the grass smoking and the bunch of shit taking. And when we're doing this, there is this light from plankton in the form of a cross, and Arturo the Christian says, the Lord is with us, ha-ho, ha-ho. And I go, Mother Earth is calling us. Somebody screaming, las arrieras, that means the trade has been found. We've been here 2 months, man. Let's go get
the ants.
The ants. So as we go with the ants and our little bottles of alcohol to fill them in with ants and drop the formic acid, that is going to be the magic that is going to make you walk. I get this guilt feeling, because every time I drop an ant in my particular little bottle, I see a flaming star turning off. And,
wow.
And I feel for every ant I'm sacrificing, I'm giving pralaya in a micro
to some
universal way. But I am being guilty of that star going into a black hole by switching this ant from its natural purpose, which is immigration on the trail. Instead, I am using the formic acid for my miracle. And I start feeling this guilt, right? So everybody gets connected with my guilt, because I'm very much in the collective mind right now. And everybody gets, and I say, how many bottles do we have and how many ants more or less in every bottle? And everybody says, I got more than 50. Everybody says, I got 70. And there's a bunch of ants. And I'm just thinking of the solar consequences, and I'm going, and my head is starting to feel like I can't even move it anymore because of this revelation that I had before on mushrooms, being myself attached to the surface of the earth by my feet as roots, and to the end of the universe by my hair, which are antennas, no? So what happens is I get into this state of mind, And I tell everybody, please leave your bottles and leave me alone. Please leave your bottles and leave me alone. Thank you very much for the action. Thank you very much for the action. Just leave your bottles and leave me alone. Just leave your bottles. And everybody wants to see the miracle. Everybody wants to either throw it on Robin, or everybody wants to do something more. And I'm just begging in a way where everybody just leaves respectfully and goes elsewhere with their doses of whatever they had taken, because everybody else had taken everything else except me that only took grass. By the time it's over, everybody is in their huts and there's quietness. And I'm just praying to the Lord, give me whatever I deserve for what I have just done. You know, I've involved so many people in this miracle, and I have done so much harm to the cosmic values that I deserve something. So give me whatever I deserve, and I'm sure I will pass the test. And as I start saying this, they start getting in, and the trail, who was 3 hills ahead from the place I'm praying, becomes the trail of the ants. And all night long, the ants go across the house, on top of you, and on top of me, and on top of the bottles. And I am praying for us not to be left like the movie with Charlton Heston, right? In Marabut. And I'm praying for us not to be bones the next morning and find just the bottles with the bones, no? And the sacrifice completed. And as it starts rising, the sun starts rising. I hadn't slept a minute. You slept the whole night like an angel, covered with a little ruana that my mother had brought from Colombia. That was an issue that is a story for another little story.
Okay, I'll remind you of that story.
Remind me of the ruana story.
Ruana story, yeah.
Anyway, you had been sleeping like an angel all night, and I hadn't slept one blink all night, of course, feeling all these ants going through me and seeing all the ants going through you and seeing all the ants going through the whole house, right? And as it is rising, there is just very few little trails of leftovers, scouters, just waiting, the retaguardia or whatever, you know, and I go, God, I guess we survived it. Which means, worse than that, I have to use all that fucking alcohol now. Because it's been blessed by the presence of these ants. Now I have to use it.
There was a very Christian thing going in that beach, right? It was like a Christian...
Well, it's not a Christian thing. It's a religious thing. I always think...
But there was a cross. You said there was a cross of algae in the ocean.
Yes, but not necessarily there is a cross only in Christianism. There is a cross in the Sudarshan Chakra. There is a cross I was explaining to you as the beginning of the circle. There is a cross as...
But it was definitely a cross in the beach.
This was a very strange cross because it's actually very medieval cross. It was a cross opened,
like the Nazi cross.
Bell-button pants.
Yeah, okay.
It was a.
Oh, it was like the German cross, like the cross of iron.
I don't know what kind of cross. It was a bell-button. I called it a bell-button.
The bell-bottom cross.
Cross. For me, it was a hippie bell-bottom cross made out of plankton.
Wow.
To me, that was the explanation. No? If it was,
but it's like the one they have on the German airplanes.
It's
like the Red Baron cross.
The one they have on the Templarios insignia here. Except without the division, because that one's divided and this was whole.
Right.
It was very solid plankton. It looked like it had a form. It didn't look like a liquid plankton. It looked like it had a form, like it was something like the laser of Darth Vader's sword, you know.
And this was not something only you just know. Everybody saw it.
Yeah. Even the army saw it.
Anything else you want to add about the ant story?
No, well, nothing except that I started using Then I started a new routine where I started taking you to a place called La Poza, La Poza was a place that had a waterfall with sweet water, and it had also camaroncillos. Then I would get you to swim in sweet water and catch camaroncillos for lunch. Now, you know what I used to do with your sister? I used to take her catch thousands and millions of little oysters to make
Lunch.
boiled oyster with lime and salt and chile, her taste.
Como dice Gurudeva, si se mueve o se arrima
A tu cazuela, ¿no?
Exactly.
Todo lo que corre o vuela llega a tu
a la cazuela. Corre, nada vuela, llega a la cazuela. Yeah, I can see that. Anyways, that's the story then.
That's the story.
We'll give it a pause and we'll some more stories.